Jumping into a game, it's a confrontation map. Thankfully, it's not domination, so we don't have to fuck with any of the capture the flag crap. But honestly, even when you're doing maneuvers or confrontation, if there are flags, they're of a very, very low strategic priority. They give you vision and some attack power when you capture them, but it's nothing compared to your boosts. And unless you've maxed them out using your skill cards, don't really worry about flags. They're a convenience, not a need. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this. This is a pretty standardized map. We're not going to have to worry too much about the ocean or water sources or anything like that. I do not have premium. I did buy the starter pack. I used free credits, so this account's entirely free to play. I dropped my... Okay. So as you can see here, let me just get onto it. No, that's a little too far forward. I put my construction yard way out in front. Okay, this gives me better map control, gives me better vision. It allows me to keep my stronghold in the back line. You don't want your stronghold, your HQ, whatever you want to call it, near the front. You want it towards the back half, at least, of your base. HQ goes down, your army goes down. There's no new units coming in. Okay, now immediately after placing that, I'm already in the back behind my HQ, waiting for the opportunity. Okay, I just placed one of my barracks, and as you saw, I rotated it so that the arrow, which shows where the units are deployed from, faces to my right. As you can see, I'm in the top left of the map, right there in the mini-map. I'm in the top left, which means I want to have the greatest possible control of the right side of the map. This gives me the greatest time between unit selection and deployment towards exploration and assault. So when the unit gets deployed from the barracks, it's already moving to the right. This means it's not having to walk around the building. It's not having to go through multiple layers of buildings. In the early game, this is absolutely impossibly important. Nothing matters more than getting units on the field and out into exploration. You don't win unless you can get between 50 and 70% map control in the early game on containers. You should ideally get 80% of all containers. That's how you steamroll a game. But if you can get somewhere between 60, you're playing pretty even odds, so you might want to turtle up. If you can get 70%, you're in the lead, you're in control, and you're pushing the map. Place the building. Okay, I've got my second barracks up. Now, I've set a rally point. That little green line, that's your rally point. You want to set it so that your units go to a single point. This means you're not micromanaging each individual building, you're not micromanaging each individual unit. You're setting up small groups to large groups. And this helps with exploration, counter waves, rush prevention, and scouting. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just setting up my explorationary forces. These are entirely disposable. There's going to be 10 queued up. I immediately pop infantry training. It's just PvP, it's not tournament, so I'm only using a red boost. Honestly, you really shouldn't worry about using golds at any point this early on. Now, before I set up any defensive units, before I set up any towers, my assault vehicle factories, what have I done? I've dropped 1 power plant and 3 resource nodes. I am maximizing my income so that I can produce units and buildings at a much quicker rate. You cannot succeed without income. It's just like in real life. No money, no prospects, no future. You do not survive in this game. You do not win in this game on a consistent basis. And I've got about a 70% win rate on this account. It used to be higher, but I kind of, forgot to upgrade my units and I focused entirely on boosts. So it dropped from about 82, 83% down to, I think, 71. But I've got about a 71% win rate overall. This season, I think it's 66%. I've been playing catch-up on a lot of stuff. But right now, you need to focus on resource production and units hitting the field in the early game. Especially when you're playing the Confederacy. Now, the Rebels, their units, especially their early game units in the form of their riflemen and grenadiers, are wildly cheap. They're going to hit the field, and they're going to hit the field running. They don't have to focus on resources nearly as much as you do as a Confederate. Okay? You need to max out on your resource production nodes as quickly as possible, and then transition into scouting. Your base can wait for development. And you'll see me do that. I actually put all development on the back burner so that I can explore as much of the map as possible.
Place the building. Insufficient resources.
Got a little ahead of myself on that power node. As you can see, I've got a resource container right in front of me. I'm going to ignore it. I'm actually going to go immediately to the far corners of the map. Set those guys moving. I'm moving to the next wave, the next two. Go to an intermediate point. Now look. Oh, I hate my screen recorder. I accidentally just started recording my face. As you can see, I'm trying to control as much of the map as possible. This is going to give me about 60% map exploration if they make it all to the edge without being interrupted by the enemy. Now it's here. The third wave is where I'm starting to look at the nearby units. Resource containers. Now I just switched my boost from infantry training to infantry scouting so that I can travel to those far distant points on the map before the enemy can capture them. Having reached the end of the map, I'm taking those first initial units and I'm setting them on resource containers. I've run into the enemy. I'm probably going to win that, but I don't care. I'm going to immediately rush towards exploration of their base. I'm going to try to scout. I'm going to contest any containers I see them on and just try to maximize the absolute crap out of this. Now I've gone back. I've started doing my upgrades. I've started doing my infrastructure. My assault vehicle factories are going down. That's when I immediately transition into getting my power supply up. Now I'm waiting for my HQ to... Oh, here we go. We're contesting this container. They almost have it captured. I get into the zone. It stops the capture and actually reverses their progress. And now if I manage to eliminate their unit from it, I begin capturing it. Now you're going to see right here, this isn't going to be a smooth ride. They're actually going to contest this very hard. When I launched the game, I told you that this was... Those units were entirely disposable. All those riflemen, all those assault units. See, they came back, they recaptured it. Or sorry, they recontested it. I'm getting in there at the last possible second. I boost an infantry attack. Now, the big one, the big bomba, is coming up right now, right behind me. It's on the field. But instead of actually going for it, I'm instead contesting that smaller unit, keeping them as far away from the big unit as possible. The big briefcase. I don't want to mess with that. I'm renewing my rally point. I've got my resource nodes back to maximum. Now I'm going to go sit on the big briefcase. This one, when popped, will drop 3 different resource containers. This is a big deal, especially in early game. Even if you controlled most of the map, even if you wiped out most of your opponent's potential resources farms, they can come back into the game by capturing this. And he knows, look, he's coming here to fight me. He's trying to hold me off. He stopped my capturing of it, slowed me down, took out a few of my units. Out of the original 10 scouts I have, only 3 have survived. Now back in my unit, you might be wondering, why are you producing fortresses? They're kind of low tier. It's very, very simple. They're incredibly tanky. They're really fat. This is where I messed up. Well, you could say I messed up. He ended up outproducing me. He just used a horde tactic to crush my units, and he's going to get all 3 of those resource nodes. Unfortunately for him, it's not going to be enough. I'm going to have about 5 fortresses up, and then I'm going to immediately produce about 10 heavy assaults, in case he decides to send in armadillos and coyotes. Between these two units by themselves can stop just about everything. And I do mean everything the rebels can fight you with in the early game. I pop a gold resource boost specifically because I lost the big briefcase. He's going to have a whole lot of units to throw at me, have a lot of income to throw at me. So I need to make up for that. Popping that gold resource boost with 5 resource nodes up means I'm going to have a huge advantage as far as that goes. I've got 2 bunkers up, so even if he manages to pull me out of my base with a fence and hits me hard, I'll still be able to do some damage. And the armor on these bunkers is incredible. They hold up really well under consistent fire. Now what I'm doing here is I'm trying to push further out with my base with another construction yard. Definitely wanting to overlap that water. I can get some torpedo platforms in there, give me extra aerial defense. Get some extra fortresses up, because I'm fully expecting a lot of infantry to come in, and the raw armor they provide makes it very, very difficult, especially in the early game, for the rebels to take care of me. Now he's sending these guys in to scout, maybe do some damage. As you can see, they're cleaned up without any problems.
Construction complete. Construction
Getting a few more of those fortresses up. I want ideally around 10 of them. Now my typical build, because I have my account maxed out for my rank, I'll have 10 fortresses, 20 heavy assaults, and two cyclones. That's a weird selection of units. A lot of people told me that's a little OCD and weird, especially with the 2 cyclones. Well, 10 fortresses combined with 20 heavy assaults means absolutely nothing of equal number or even half as many units can beat my army, period. The only thing I have to really worry about are grenadiers from the rebel faction, and that's what my 2 cyclones are for. Grenadiers cannot shoot up. So while the grenadiers are great at killing fortresses and heavy assaults aren't good at killing grenadiers, the cyclones are literally immune to any and all damage that can be done by grenadiers, while being excellent assassins. They'll also detect any hidden units hidden inside the trees. As you can see, he's doing another infantry rush, trying to come in from the side. He's already lost 2 or 3 units before I even try to respond due to the bunkers. Get your defenses up early. Micro your units' positioning. He's actually taken the entirety of that big briefcase that he got earlier. Excellent, got my contract back. But it's too late. I've got my army set up. I'm just waiting for my population cap. I think he might have killed a whopping 1 heavy assault unit. Now, I just want to draw attention to my mini-map. Okay? Now, as you can see, I've explored maybe 60-70% of the map, maybe slightly higher, but not a whole lot, and I have not refreshed that. It's because I've given up on playing games with this guy. I got ahead early, I got a very strong lead, and now I'm just going to ram it home that I'm going to win this. What I'm going to end up doing is going right down the middle and just crushing him. Now, because of my recording software, I'm not able to use my secondary hot slot to select unit groupings, but I've got my 10 fortresses set up, I've got 11 of my heavy assaults set up, and my 2 cyclones ready and prepped. I am setting up some aerial defense units because I do not have my HQ level 3. If he gets hawks in the air, I want some kind of defense. Because right now, nothing I've got on the field can defend against that. That's one of the weaknesses of my particular strategy. So if he hadn't done that infantry rush, if he hadn't done an infantry rush, there's a very good chance he'd be going for fighter jets. Now, I am upgrading my barracks to level 3 because the assault unit, the heavy assault unit, and the fire assault unit have all been absolutely maxed for my rank in my upgrade tree. I'm simply waiting for my units to be finished before upgrading, because during the upgrade process, any and all production is paused. And I do not recommend building more power plants than you absolutely need in the moment. When you run out of energy, that's when you build another one. Now I've set up a very light turtle.
Insufficient energy.
And I'm actually going to go to renew, make sure he's not doing a big assault from the right-hand side. So I'm sending my 2 cyclones out to where the big briefcase had been, just to scout it. As you can see, he easily got those resource containers after defeating me. And I am sending my cyclones to continue scouting that part of the map. There's no big group of units, so I'm flying back, just checking over my base. And you see, this briefcase is popped. I am not interested in picking it up, but it's convenient. So I'm actually going to set my fortresses to an advanced point. I'm going to send my cyclones in as a feint to draw his attention over to the opposite side of his base. Try to get some troops away from the briefcase. And I'm going to try to upgrade my HQ. HQ class 3, of course, gives me fighter jets. Gives me greater defensive buildings, such as more bunkers. Lets me upgrade to produce Zeus in my assault vehicle factory. Also lets me get a hold of the shield generator. As you can see, he does not have a standing army set up. He's got a few units, but not a lot. Which means my heavy assaults can easily capture the big briefcase. Completely uncontested, because now he has to worry about defending his base. And it's too late. His dragonfly is going after my fortress. It's not going to work, because heavy assaults can hit dragonflies. Grenadiers cannot hit cyclones. Unfortunately, he does have a porcupine up, meaning I'm going to lose both my cyclones without doing a whole lot of damage. But the game's over. He has no army to fight back with. Most of his unit producing facilities are up near the front, and I'm just going to clean house. As you can see, I haven't lost any of my fortresses. What I am losing are my heavy assaults, and I'm just running ramshot over this guy. Yep, as you can see, I'm going back, I'm checking things out, I'm getting ready to build my fighter pilots. I know it's over, but it's always safe to upgrade just in case. Now I can start doing a fighter jet combined with hammers and some flame assaults. So even if this rush doesn't work, I'm ready to set up my secondary army, my next wave, and win this match. But as you can see, it's over. He has nothing to produce units, and he's got no army to fight back with. Doesn't matter that his HQ is still up. Doesn't matter that he's got towers up. The game's over, and he knows it. Yep, you can see my upgrades finished up. I'm going back to check my base.
Place the building.
I'm building a second. Yep, there it goes.
Victory.